All right, let's get right into it. We're looking at a pretty serious situation that's unfolding in India right now. In March of 2026, there's a massive nationwide shortage of cooking gas, and it's causing chaos. We're going to break down exactly how a conflict happening thousands of miles away has managed to hit kitchens and businesses all across the country. But first, just think about that question for a second. What really happens when a nation's cooking gas runs out? I mean, it sounds like something from a movie, but for millions of people, this is suddenly their reality. It changes everything, from how you make dinner for your family to whether your favorite local restaurant can even open its doors. So let's really dig into the specifics of this crisis in India. The key thing to wrap your head around is how an event happening so far away could have such an immediate and, frankly, such a severe impact right at home. And this thing is hitting on two fronts at the exact same time. So on one side, you have regular households, understandably panicking. They're creating this massive wave of panic booking for gas cylinders, which is just overwhelming the system. And on the other side, businesses, especially in the hospitality sector, are getting slammed with rationing. And what this all boils down to is one simple, scary fact: a severe nationwide shortage of LPG. And for anyone not familiar, that's liquefied petroleum gas. It's the cooking gas that fuels millions and millions of kitchens. And right now, it is incredibly hard to find. So how on earth did things get this bad, this fast? Well, to understand that, we have to trace this whole mess all the way back to its source, which is a critical spot on the world map, a geopolitical choke point. And this timeline just shows you how incredibly fast everything went sideways. In late February, a conflict in the Middle East gets worse. Just a week or two later, a vital shipping lane, the Strait of Hormuz, is shut down. And by the middle of March, India is feeling the full, painful impact of that supply shock. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how connected everything is. So why was the hit so immediate and so severe for India? Well, it all comes down to this. India only produces about a third of its own LPG. A massive 65% of it is imported, which makes the country incredibly dependent on what's happening in the rest of the world. And here, this is where that dependency becomes a huge vulnerability. Of all that imported gas, a staggering 90%, normally comes through one single, narrow waterway, the Strait of Hormuz. So when that one route gets shut down, the supply chain doesn't just get stressed, it snaps. You see, the Strait of Hormuz is basically one of the most important highways for the world's energy supply. It's a classic choke point, a narrow passage that, if it gets blocked, can cause huge disruptions for the entire planet. For India, it's not just a shipping lane, it's a lifeline that just got cut. Okay, so let's bring this all back to the fallout at home. With that lifeline severed, what does this actually look like on the ground? Let's talk about the ripple effects that are spreading across Indian society right now. Just look at this number, 20%. That's it. That is the maximum amount of their normal gas supply that restaurants and hotels are being given. I mean, how can you possibly run a business on just 1/5 of your most essential fuel? You just can't. And because of that, you're seeing businesses desperately scrambling for any alternative they can find. Some are going old school, switching back to firewood. Others are trying to move to electric induction stoves. But for so many, the only real option is to just shut their doors and hope the gas comes back soon. So if we step back and summarize the damage, you have public panic making the shortages even worse than they need to be. The commercial sector is on its knees. You start to worry about essential services like hospitals. And all of this just puts an unbelievable amount of pressure on that small 35% of LPG that India actually produces itself. So when you're facing a perfect storm like this, what can you even do? Well, that brings us to our final section: the frantic race for a solution, and how the Indian government is trying to respond to this mess. Okay, so officials have rolled out this 4-point action plan. They're basically trying to fight this fire from every direction possible. First, make more of what you have. Second, control how people are using it. Third, protect the most important services. And fourth, find new places to buy from, fast. Let's break that down. So, step 1, boost domestic production. India's refineries are being pushed to their absolute limits, cranking up their output by 25 to 30%. Now, that's a huge effort, but let's be honest, it's like using a bucket to fight a forest fire. It helps, but it can't possibly fill the enormous gap left by the imports. Next up, tackling that panic buying we talked about. To stop people from hoarding gas cylinders, a new rule is now in place. Households are limited to booking just one refill every 25 days. The idea is to stop a few people from grabbing everything and to spread the limited supply around more fairly. This part is all about triage. The government is being really strict about where the available gas goes. It has to go to the places that need it most, so that means households get top priority, followed by critical places like hospitals and schools. Everybody else, unfortunately, is going to have to wait. And finally, there's the diplomatic scramble. India is urgently reaching out to anyone and everyone who might have spare LPG to sell. We're talking the United States, Russia, Norway, Algeria. They're trying to secure emergency shipments. The problem is, redirecting massive energy tankers across the globe isn't easy, and it definitely isn't fast. It's a real race against time. You know, this whole situation in India serves as this incredibly powerful, real-world example of how a single point of failure, thousands of miles away, can cause a total system breakdown. And it forces a really tough question, not just for India, but for pretty much every country out there. In a world this interconnected, is any supply chain really secure? When your most basic needs depend on a fragile line stretching halfway across the globe, what's your backup plan for when that line inevitably breaks?